Hey guys, it's Maddie. I haven't done a video in a little bit. I'm really sorry for that. It's the same excuse I always give, but it's true. I've just been dealing with a lot of life-related stuff. I got a new job, so I haven't had a lot of free time, and the free time I do have, I've kind of just been lazily laying around. But I wanted to come back, and I'm doing a different video. This is going to be a lot easier for me to make, so I don't have to, I don't have to, go out of my way to edit it for hours on end to make a short video. This is going to be a somewhat short video, but it's going to not have the quality it usually does, I'd say, because I'm not going to go out of my way to edit, the representation of me. And, I know that's not a lot of work, but to me it is. I have really bad patience with stuff like that. I need to get an editor, but I don't have the money for that. It's kind of a unwinnable battle. Anyway, I wanted to do a kind of different video, because one of my favorite things in TF2 would definitely be MvM, I'd say. It's really fun. I love the man up, the process of manning up. I love earning rewards. I love playing against the robots. I think the game was pretty fun. It does have a bad community, truth be told, in the manning up scene. There's a lot of really nice versus Sex and Hell players that aren't in manning up, but it's just kind of the tours are really rough for a lot of times, and for a lot of players, they don't know where to begin. You have to practice, but in one of the places you go, it's not really serious, so you're not getting good practice. So you need to practice in a live environment, but you can't practice in that environment because it's too serious, and it's unending. I have plenty of tours, so I don't have that issue, truth be told. But I wanted to make this because I know I've experienced a lot of people who are newer to versus Saxton Hill, and I wanted to make a kind of easy tier list. I know I'm definitely not the first person to do this, but I wanted to make a tier list going over what classes I personally would consider the best, and going through what ranks. So I'm going to start off by saying this isn't definitive. I'm not one of those people who have 800 tours. I know how to do exploits and stuff like that. I just play the game because I enjoy it. I have 55 tours in one, 30 tours in another. So I have a lot of tours, but I'm not completely super high up there. But so simply, let's just begin. Let's cut digressing and begin. So I would first off start with S tier. Let's go over who is the best of the best in this. I think that's a lot easier to work from the top and go to the bottom. The two I would, for S tier, what I would consider S tier is characters you do typically need. 99% of scenarios, you will need this character to do good. Of course, there's situations where you don't need them. That's every character. But these are the characters that you will find in basically every match, and they are basically a requirement to do well. So let's start off with my favorite, Engineer. Engineer is pretty good. He gives so much utility to his team with his teleporter, his dispenser, giving infinite ammo, and a good reliable healing source to his teammates. And obviously his sentry gun. His sentry gun provides covering fire for his teammates, and it can take out units pretty well. It can be used as a body blocker. It's just good. He is an overall good unit with a ton of versatility, tons of options at his disposal. He has good weapons. He has different ways you can play him. He's usually turtling, but you can play a bit more aggressively. If they have a tank, bring the Widowmaker. You can just infinitely shoot the tank. There's no downside for that. I definitely think he's one of the best, because even in situations where you don't need the healing, his utility and damage makes him, it justifies having him. I can't justify having more than one, but I think one engineer is crucial to basically every game. I know there is situations where, on one of the maps, at the end, it's just a bunch of tanks, so everyone goes pyro, except you keep one engineer. The engineer can deal with the other classes that are spawning, which are just pyros and demo knights, and it is really nice to have him, because one, if the pyros die, they can teleport back. They have a dispenser at their disposal. If they really need it, they won't need it though at that round, but it just shows how strong he is. He brings a lot to the table. He's really versatile, and he does good damage, and yeah, he's just really good. So let's go to the last member of the S tier. It is the medic. Now, back in the day when MvM first launched, Medic was terrible. He was absolute garbage. Like, you did not want to use him because he was a good healer, but that's all he did. He could only heal. But nowadays, Medic can revive, which is unbelievably helpful. His shield is god tier, meaning he can just completely shut down some robots and prevent them from absolutely steamrolling his team. He can share his canteens, which makes it so he can use a crit Craig and still get uber charge. Or he can even, like, if you really wanted to, you could go with a different medic gun and still get crits or still get uber charge. It just really depends. He isn't necessary in every situation. Like I said earlier, like a minute ago, Engineer is crucial in that one round, but you don't want a medic really, because why would you need medic? Pyros can do the work, Engineer can heal if need be, but medic is good on basically every single other mission. A lot of people don't run him on the expert missions because they were designed without him initially, so they're possible to do without him. I still think he's pretty helpful because of just the utility he brings to his team. He does no damage at all. Even if you go for a meme build, his damage is non-existent, so you're never going to be using him for damage. He amplifies his teammates' damage, but his own damage is pitiful, but you're not using him for that. It's just his healing and utility is so high up that it justifies bringing him in like every situation. There are some really rare situations where you don't bring him, like the expert missions. You can choose not to. But I think, personally, I think he's perfect in every single scenario almost. Unless there is a situation like that engineer one where he really isn't needed. Honestly, even in that, he can do well. If you have one less pyro, it is a bit slower to win, but he can still do well. It isn't anything super tricky to deal with. Okay, let's move on to A tier. I'm putting Scout there to begin with. Scout is extremely good in MvM. He's like one of the crucial characters. I would say he's not S tier because you don't need a Scout near the end. Like every 6th wave or whatever wave that ends on, 6th, 7th, 8th, you don't need a Scout. If it's the last wave, you do not need a Scout. You can bring him, he does have utility, but there's typically no reason to bring him, just because his main purpose is to collect money. That's putting it nicely. His main purpose is to collect money because he has the healing from it, which makes him an absolute god tank. He's super quick, he can easily grab the money with his increased range. He will usually be the reason your team gets A+. It is, most teams will absolutely ignore money for some reason. I don't understand that. And they just assume Scout's gonna get it. I will grab money personally if there's money near me. I'm not risking the Scout not being able to get to it. But he does have good utility too. His damage is alright. You're not gonna be really using him for damage. But his utility is really good. His Mad Milk brings good healing to the team and slowdown. And the Fan of War is really good because it gives mini crits to everyone. Or you can even use a Sandman, which gives the slowdown and the mini crits. So it's pretty nice. He brings a lot to the table. His damage, like I said, isn't that good, but he's kind of in a similar boat to the Medic, where his utility is just so high up there that it justifies him and not needing any damage output really. Okay, and I would say Demo is definitely A tier as well. He is really crucial in a lot of situations because of his ability to instantly drop medics. He can lay out fields and just completely clear out like 40 robots at a time. He's insane. If a demo man knows what they're doing, they can completely curb stomp the robots. Of course, it is a bit hard because once you lay out your stickies, if you try replacing them, it's going to take you like 42.5 years to reload. But once he gets some upgrades, he becomes an unstoppable machine, and paired with a good medic, or if he invests money himself into the crits, he can lay out completely unstoppable crit fields, where like, if a big robot and medics go down there, he will instantly pop the medics and instantly like half health or more of the robot, or even kill them in some cases. So he's really good. He brings a lot to the table, he's really strong, and his big benefit is that he's ranged, I would argue. So he doesn't have to worry about getting caught out as hard. He can still get caught out and killed by like a random Crockett hitting him. But he's not going to be up close and personal unless you're going like Demo Knight. But then like Demo Knight's terrible. Don't go at it. It's a meme build, but don't go at it. And I would also argue the last person in A tier is Sniper. This might be a bit controversial. I really don't think it should be super controversial. He is like a Demo Man, but at a range. The only problem with Sniper is he is not really viable early on. He needs credits to get like explosive headshots going and to get his charge up and to get his damage up. If you go early on, you can still do well, but you have to consistently hit headshots, and it's not hard. It's not hard to do it. The robots are slow. They're obvious where they're going, but I just think he's better off later on. I think early on he's B to C tier. So I think mid to end or mid to late game he is definitely A tier. He's incredibly strong. If you're building him right, he can just shred through big robots. He can do what Demo can do, but arguably better with no setup. Like, robot heavy jumps down with 8 medics. Headshot the heavy, the medics are dead. It's just that strong. He doesn't have that power early on, but he scales really hard into the game. So I'd put him into A tier. If he didn't scale as hard, he'd be B. And if we're talking about early, he'd be C tier, I'd say. I don't think he's just straight up D tier, but I think he is, like, one of the best characters. Especially, like, I know people will just cheat in MvM and use him, and, like, then the game's over. There's literally no way to lose them, basically, unless they get headshot because they're cheating and they have the awareness of a jar of peanut butter. Okay, next up, I would say in B tier first, Soldier. Soldier is really good. He gives good utility to his team with his banners. You're never going to use a shotgun. Don't use a shotgun. There's no reason to. His melee weapons don't bring anything to the table. He gets mobility, but he's a rocket jumper. He doesn't need that in this game mode. But his rockets are really good. They give him a lot of options. He can either go infinite ammo with a cow mangler. He can go Beggar's Bazooka and nuke people. Or he can go direct hit. He gets a lot of options. He's really good, but at the same time, he's not as crucial as the classes listed above. So I'm putting him in B tier. He's definitely good, and you usually will have a soldier on your team. But I definitely don't think he's necessary in every case. Demo does what he does, but he has more at his disposal. The only thing that makes Soldier as good as he is, I would argue, is honestly his banners. If he didn't have them, he'd be C tier. He can invest a lot of money into, like, stunning the robot. That's nice, but that's only in late game, and even then, by that point, the scout can just slow them, or the sniper can just two-shot them. It really just... He's good, but he could be better. But if you made him better, I think it'd be too much. I don't know. I think he's in a middle ground. Next up, I will say Pyro. A lot of people will probably argue that Pyro deserves to be an A tier, or even higher. I wouldn't. Pyro has the gas passer, which is incredibly strong, and to the point where people will kick Pyros if they use it. I don't understand that. That's stupid. If you do that, you're dumb. I don't care if that makes someone mad. You're against robots. It's not like you're abusing mechanic. It's not that strong. It's just like a demo with less setup. But the reason I would say he's not as good as Demo Man is because Demo Man, like I said, is ranged. He can poke, he can lay out his traps from a distance. Pyro can do that, but Pyro's also a short-range class, and he's not tanky. He has a decent amount of health, but he dies really, really fast in this game mode because he has nothing to amplify his defenses. If he had something, like if he had a weapon that made him tankier, maybe he'd be better. But I think his biggest problem is you're relying on the gas passer only. Well, okay. You're relying on the gas passer only on some maps that have insta-kills for, like, the robots. I would argue he can be A tier then, because you can instantly reset the bomb and kill a big robot, like, instantly faster than any class in the game, technically. But I would argue, typically he's B tier. He can do good damage. His gas passer is incredibly strong, but usually if he accepts to tow out a line, he's dead instantly. He has nothing to rely on. He has no real mobility. He has a power jack, but that makes him squishier. It's just an unfortunate situation where he doesn't, or I guess, not he, sorry, I've been referring to them as he, where they don't really have anything that makes them really worth bringing besides a gas passer. If they didn't have the gas passer, they'd be C or D tier. They just don't have anything. They rely entirely on the gas passer. Besides that, their air blast. If they don't have the gas passer, their air blast ain't enough to cover them. So personally, I just think, like, they have niches, like in tank rounds they're really good, and insta-killing bosses, they can be really good, but those are niches. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think they're that good. I've played them a lot, and their gas master is fun, but like, you have to play so cautiously because you're up close and personal, but most robots will two-shot you or one-shot you. It's just unlucky. And you can rely on air blast for reflecting because your reflections won't do that much damage to them. Meanwhile, there are usually like people who shoot like one rocket will usually shoot like 14, and then you reflect 2 and you die. It's just unfortunate, I'd say. Heavy is, I put him in B tier. He's honestly borderline A tier, but the thing I'd argue is Heavy is really good at tanking and dealing some damage to the robots, but he's kind of held back because he does absolutely nothing to tanks because they have damage reduction against him. And his secondaries are kind of useless in this game mode. Like, the sandwiches can be helpful. Like, a meta can get saved by it. I've been saved before by heavies. But usually the dispenser can do the same thing. If he had something that buffed the team, maybe be better. Like, okay, I've been meaning to make a video about this. One of my ideas for a heavy update is a Brass Beast rework that gave, like, AoE defenses. Something like that would probably put him A tier, because then, like, teammates around him would become tankier, and he would become tankier. I think that would make him A tier, but as of now, he's really just a tank. He can do really good damage, but he's a tank at the expense that he's completely reliant on the medic pocketing him or getting the overheal. If the medic can't pocket him, then he can only tank for so long, even with max resists, before he just gets shredded. It's just unfortunately how the game mode is. If the medic's on him, then he can be A tier or S tier, because he has like 800 health, 800 and 900 health with resists, and he does good damage to non-tanks. But I think since he requires another unit to be good, I don't think he's amazing by himself. So I would put him in B tier because of that. And last and least is Spy. I put Spy in C tier. Spy has good strengths. He can sap, he can backstab. That's it. That's all he can do. And the biggest problem I'd say with him is that his sapper has a insanely high cooldown. It's like 10, 15 seconds. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it's something that long. Meaning once you sap a big robot, you can't sap for a while, and you're kind of just out of options. Because once you backstab, they're all going to turn on you. You hit the pop of your dead ring and run away, wait for your dead ring to recharge, because you can't pick up ammo now for it. And your sapper has to recharge, so you're kind of just sitting there doing nothing. Like, he has niches. Like, he can do similar roles to Demo and Sniper and Pyro to a lesser extent, where he can clear out meds, but at the cost that he's either going to die in the process, or he has to basically AFK for 20 seconds while he waits for his stuff to recharge. I think a big thing they need to do is buff him in the sapper department. I think they should make it where maybe make an upgrade, definitely make an upgrade for sapper recharge. I don't think it has it. I think it has no upgrades for that. I could be wrong. But also, I think they should have one where, if they're not going to do sapper recharge, make it where backstabs restore like a massive percent of your, like let's say one backstab restores 25% of your sapper, and that'd make him really good. Sap, backstab, 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 sap, backstab, backstab. Like, he could get in a combo then. He can't really do that now. He can pick out a few targets and he's dead. He does what Sniper does, but significantly worse since he's putting himself on the line. And he's also completely worthless against tanks, which, okay, don't take 1 tank rounds, that's fine. But, like, I don't think any other class is that, like, he is so niche in what he does that it's kind of not funny. Like, even Sniper isn't great against tanks, but Sniper still has something he can bring against tanks. He can bring the one SMG that gives crits, and then the Bushwalker, and he can get, like, infinite crits against a tank and shred it really hard. He can't do that. He has nothing. If I'd also give him the option sap tanks, I wouldn't make it slower or anything like that. I think that'd be too strong, but I'd maybe have it do damage over time and then maybe increase the tank's damage or mark it for death. I think that would give him a, like, actual niche that would make sense. I just think he has nothing. Like, I've played a decent amount of Spy, like, probably like 10 tours or so of him, which isn't a lot, but that's just because he's so weak. You're basically throwing the match typically if you pick him. And I hate saying that because that sounds super toxic, like, oh my god, you're throwing the match, but you kind of are. You'd be better off as anyone else because they do, like, offer something to the team, offer something to the team, offer something to the team. He can every like 20 seconds. It's too harsh. And then he also has a red tape, which has absolutely no benefit over it. Like, it is a different weapon, but it just acts like a sapper. Why doesn't it do something different? Maybe when you sap the robots, they turn against their team or something, because it reverses sentries. How about it reverse robots to be on your team temporarily? Like, of course, it wouldn't work on big robots, and it would have the downside there where it doesn't slow them, but it would have a benefit, I think. I don't know. I think he just doesn't give enough to the team, or even to himself, to justify picking him in any situation. He can function as a pseudo-scout and a pseudo-sniper, but he's just a worse version of both. Like, literally, if you try playing him as pseudo-scout, he doesn't have the pickup or health bonuses. Honestly, if you gave him the same thing Scout has, where, like, it doesn't have to be as big as Scout, but give him an increased pickup range, and also make him increase his health off cash pickups, and that'd be huge. He'd be really good then. He'd be an alternative to Scout that wouldn't be better than him, but wouldn't be worse than him. He'd just be a good alternative. He can't do that now. He can't do anything properly because everyone else does his job better. Okay, so I guess that's it for now about this. This is going to be a really simple video to upload, luckily. But I plan on doing a per class, like per each class I'll do a tier list of their weapons and which weapons you should bring with them. And I just want to do that. I want to give people the option. I used to use the Steam guides a lot, and I don't know if people really even use those anymore for actual guides. Most of the guides I see are just memes or point farming. But I want people to have options to begin to know what to do in MvM, because I know it is very daunting and I don't like that. I want to see new faces in MvM, but I understand, like, where do I begin? If I try to jump in, I'm digressing, but I think that'll do it for today. This was a pretty simple video to make, so I might make more of these. My other videos are a little harder to make because I have to put a lot of editing. Like, even if it's a 10-minute video, it's like 4 or 5 hours of editing, just because the way it is. I might see about getting an editor down the line, and then I could actually do video uploads. I don't have the energy in me to do that, especially since I can't multitask when I'm doing it. But yeah, if you guys like this, want to see more content like this, do let me know. I like doing this. I like doing tier list stuff. But you'll just have to let me know. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and be sure to like and comment. I'd love to see your guys' feedback on what you guys think. You think I put someone too low? You think I put someone too high? Just let me know. I will happily read every comment I get. I want to help people, okay? But that'll be it for today. See you guys.